Do you ever get an idea for an intro concept that you want to make into a motion graphic, but you haven't got a clue where to start or how to make it happen? Check out this example I made with Camtasia. Wow! In this video, you'll see how we took a concept, added a few images and a logo, and made that rockin' intro. So much is possible with Camtasia's animation capabilities, and you don't have to be an After Effects expert to make it happen. Let's dive in. Hey, it's Gord here. Welcome. If it's your first time here and it's your passion to make great videos, become a ninja at video editing and learn more tips on how to succeed with video and marketing on YouTube, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss a thing. The solution we're looking at here today is a solution I created for a client. The client's name is Client Enrollment Academy, as you can see here with the end part of the intro. And the reason why I'm showing this today with his permission is to show you some very cool things that we were able to do in taking a concept from scratch. He had in his mind the idea of using a hand pulling a magnet to use these words that are part of his brand value proposition, you know, starting with attraction, then connection, and then high ticket sales, and then into the logo. So we wanted to use the metaphor of a hand pulling a magnet and pulling those words in and a crowd to get, you know, the desired result. So from scratch, what was I to do? Because I don't have any assets like that inside Camtasia. So what I did is I went to look for vectors that I could use and convert into ultimately PNG files that I could use inside Camtasia. I went to look for solutions here in a place called Deposit Photos. As you can see here, I looked up the word hand magnet, and in there are all kinds of solutions here. And I'm also under what's called the vectors category, as you can see in the top left there. And you can see there are several solutions here with a hand and a magnet. So I took this one, particularly here. And as you can see, through my package with Deposit Photos, I could do a download of a vector EPS file. The vector EPS file is something that I can use inside Adobe Illustrator. But for those of you that don't have Adobe Illustrator, you can convert that EPS to an SVG file and then bring it into something free like Inkscape. And Inkscape is right here. You can go to Inkscape at inkscape.org. And once you have your EPS file downloaded, which I mentioned a moment ago, you can actually convert it with this cloudconvert.com EPS to SVG page on the web and get a file that you can then use to work with inside Inkscape. And that's exactly what I was doing. And just to show you here, I separated out inside Inkscape the hand with the magnet, you know, because the whole image has all, here we are inside Adobe Illustrator, has all the crowd and the people. And, you know, so I just, you know, originally made two sections here, one with the hand, two exports, one with the hand and a magnet, and one with the crowd. So as I mentioned earlier, this intro was built in 4 parts, and you can see the first part there, the second part here, the third part here. Each of the first 3 parts is characterized by a magnet going in and going out, and then the 4th part is where the logo comes in and the name of the brand. In order to tackle this effectively and save time, we're going to use a reverse engineering approach whereby we're going to first look at the animations and look at some of the tricks that I did with the hand and magnet so you can understand how to adapt those for your own creation when you bring in a PNG image and want to animate it. So to start that off, I'm just going to sort of quiet the other tracks here so that we're just focused here on the hand with the magnet. And I'm going to shrink up the size a little bit of the canvas so that you can see that the hand with the magnet, as we start here, right here in the first place for animation, that it's quite off screen and it only comes on for a little bit and it does a kickback and then it goes out. So how did I achieve all of that? And that was something that I wanted to do because I wanted the magnet to come in and then, you know, pull the word attraction and then dump it out. So what we did is we started to use the behaviors and play with those. So at first, as you can see here, it says pulsating, and in the top right, you'll notice here are the in and during out and out phases of the behavior. But what's interesting is the in says drifting, the during says pulsate, and the out says drifting. So I want to use this opportunity to explain something very important so people can appreciate when they're dealing with behaviors and adapting it and customizing. So I made this little chart to show people. As you can see on the left-hand side, we have all the different names of not only the 9 behaviors or so that are in Camtasia 9, but also the few extra that are now in the release of Camtasia 2018, particularly the Explode and Fly In. Now, I just showed you that I put on the top right here, you see the behavior for pulsating for this animation, but we looked and we saw, if we looked at the default for pulsating, it should say grow, pulsate, and shrink across the board here. See where pulsating is? The in should be grow, pulsate, and shrink. But if we come back, it's drifting, pulsate, and drifting, what we actually used. So I'm trying to say that you have the ability to change the style, because that's what it is, the style for each phase of the behavior execution. So in our case, we totally changed up the pulsating one. We only kept the pulsate in the during phase. So I want you to know that oftentimes you'll start with a particular behavior like shifting or reveal, and you can see it's using the shifting style throughout, or the reveal does the reveal style throughout, but you may be changing it because just what you see on screen doesn't execute the way you want to. So don't get fixated on the name of the behavior, because we have the ability, for example, in the in style, to use any one of these options that you see down this column here. Likewise, in the during phase, any of these options. And in the out, likewise, you have a whole set here. So I wanted you to be mindful of that, so not to get carried away with just the name of the behavior. Like in this case here, it says pulsating. So if we come back on the in, now before I go into looking at that more closely, let's just delete the behavior and see what we have here. So you see what we have here is just the arm sort of going in with that little added animation that sort of does what I call the kickback later, and there's no behavior there. But I'm going to undo what I deleted, which was that behavior. Let's get it back. There we go. So see here it says pulsating, but what we actually have in reality is drifting, pulsate, and drifting again. So drifting by its nature, see how it comes in, it drifted in from the bottom side there and came in. So it's drifting from a direction of right, and it's using the ease out quint movement. So my whole point is there's experimentation involved here, and I wanted this to come up from the bottom there, the bottom right, and come in, and that's how I got with the drifting behavior. Now in the during, I have pulsate, and then in the out, it's drifting again right, so it's just doing the reverse of what it did to come in. But what's very fascinating as well to notice here is, you notice how far down off the canvas the hand with the arm is, and likewise at the beginning the same thing. Well, remember, when I didn't have the behavior on, which I'll delete again just for a second, the hand was there and just popping in and out. But as soon as we add in the behavior, okay, it goes for a much greater swing down to the right. And this is all about timing, because if you consider when you watch this, look at how quick this goes in. So that went in and out in a very quick time. And that's what happens when you play with the behaviors and you want to get a desired result that appears just on the canvas. So I was only interested in that swing motion on the canvas. So because it's a pre-built behavior inside Camtasia, I'm actually looking at the end result that comes on the canvas. So don't get thrown off by the fact that the arm swung below. You know, it's just nothing to be concerned about. First off, I've turned all the tracks back on now so we can see the integration of the hand magnet with the other activity on the screen. And you can see in the next phase here, we have pulsating, but we have the exact same behavior set for the in, during, and the out. We have the in as drifting, then pulsating for during, and drifting again at the end. But the difference is here, and I'm going to show you by deleting the property. behavior. We have a different start position. So I'm going to put the behavior back in now. And so when it goes from in and then it swoops down, you're going to see now that the magnet leaves in a hurry and very quickly and then goes into the next phase. That's because what I did was I split the track, increased the clip speed, and then with the pulsating, so it was all repeated again, drifting, pulsate, and drifting. But it was just sped up the last portion so that I could work with the speed of things. Then when we come to the next part, the magnet just comes straight in and across and pulls the words high ticket sales, right? So what's interesting here is, if you see here, this says fade, but again, remember, the term fade for the behavior doesn't mean much because we're using in as sliding, then none, and none. So all we had was this, sliding in and then doing nothing, and then I split, and in the next phase, we have none in the in, drifting in the during, and out. So it's just continuing, and we had an animation to pull it back a bit, right, from the beginning to pull it back for the retreat, and then it just fades out. Now let's take a close look at the kinetic text components. As you know, we have the hand magnet coming in and the text syncing with the timing of the magnet in each instance. So we need to be very careful that we get the text movement to coincide the way we want it to with the magnet. So what's interesting is, so here when I have the word attraction, I know where I wanted it to end up. And the way we can tell that is just by me deleting here the behavior, and then you can see that the attraction is supposed to end up there, right? So now if I put the behavior back on, you can see that the word attraction is slowly coming in. It's way off screen to the left here, and you're going to see it come in just right at the last second here. But if we shrink our canvas size, you're going to see that it actually starts on its own, way before, and then it comes in, right? Well, don't worry about that. Again, as you saw, we had the word placed on screen where we wanted it to, and then we added the behavior. And the reason why things look so, kind of convoluted in a way with it so far off screen is because the speed with which I needed everything to happen. So I played with the clip speed, which is at 1.38 times here. You can see in the top right corner, as well as right here on the tray here. And so between the combination of the speed and everything, this word attraction comes in and it's totally gone in just about 1 second and 10 frames. So it's like a second and a third and it's gone. And I did a split in the midway because I wanted to change the behaviors. So there's a none and then a drifting in the during, and then the out is a fade out. So you can see, and then part of that is an animation, a custom animation we added, which if you go to the end keyframe, if you look down here, you're going to see that, oops, I went a little too far. If you go to the end keyframe, but you come back a bit, you can see where the attraction goes. It goes way off screen. So again, this all happens because of the speed with which things are happening and the effect that I want in order to make it cohesive and flow with the visual. So it sounds complicated, but it's really just a matter of playing around. And let's get that back. Put it off there and just play so that you can see. So you see how fast all of that happened, and it went through both those two track elements that I had here, one with the split and then with the animation to bring it out. And then we went into the connection, and with the connection we have the shifting. It says shifting, but on the in it says sliding, during none, and then drop for the out. So again, shifting is not really what the behavior ended up being, and I explained all that in the beginning. The bottom line is, what is it you're using for in, during, and out, and that's the behavior we have. So we can see that it slides in, and then in the during there's nothing, and then the out we saw how it just dropped off, and when we get to the end it drops out. Again, you got to play with this and get the desired result, and this is so highly synchronized. Likewise here in the last piece, you see how the high ticket sales looks like it's being pulled by the magnet. Well, I did that by ensuring that I had an end position for the magnet is right there, and then the text if we take off the behavior for here, that it's saying here, if we take that off, see, yeah, that's the endpoint that I wanted the text to be in. So now I'll put the behavior back. But in the process, see how it nicely has like a flow or movement that sort of feels like it's being pulled by the magnet? Well, that was achieved by using shifting with the reveal, and then in the during, reveal in the in, none in the during, and in the out, none. So all we did was actually the reveal. So it's a slide in from the left, reveal from the left, smooth, and then it ends there. And then at the very end, poof, it just disappears. So we had nothing happening on the out. And the last element I want to show you is just this animated GIF, which I have here, which is this nice, pretty animation that's going on here with the square boxes, a circle, lines. It's very cool, and it's an animated GIF, and it only is on for a short time, and it's used to complement what we're trying to show at the beginning. Because the word attraction, we needed something eye-catchy. So I have all kinds of these motion animations from a package called Motion Animation Pro, and this one I just decided to use. Wow, there's so much possibility to get creative with motion graphic animations in Camtasia. Now that you've seen how to do some cool stuff with your images, how about exploring more on creating cool kinetic text animations? To learn more on ideas for kinetic text animations and how to create them, be sure to click on the link for the playlist featured on this page, or click on the link in the video description below. And if you need any assistance with editing and producing your videos for YouTube, marketing, and training or course production, be sure to reach out to me through my website, gordisman.com. See you in another video soon.